Hello and welcome to this Chopin competition studio. My guest today is Marta Tabakiernik, exhibition coordinator at the Chopin Museum. Hello, Marta.
Good morning.
You have curated the exhibition titled Virtuoso that is now on show at the museum. Can you tell us why this topic and what is virtuosity at all?
I get the invitation to prepare the exhibition to accompany the Chopin competition this year. And I get the subject that it should be about the virtuosity. And it was only this topic. And we started to think, what does it mean to us? And what can we say about virtuosity nowadays? How can we define this subject? Is it actual or not? And first of all, we started from many associations. What do we think? What do we consider about this? And I personally tried to find such interesting virtuosos that are present and which are making big careers. And my first inspiration was not from pianist field, in fact. That was the organist. His name is Cameron Carpenter, and he is a very extraordinary organist. And he is famous not only because of his revolutionary, we can say, performances, but also because he wear very extravagant costumes, and he's involved in public life. There are many speculations about him, and I thought that that is the kind of person who is praised and criticized in the same time, and that discussions about the virtuosity of that kind of people are still very, we can say, hot. And then I came back to 19th century, to the period of Chopin, and I tried to think what did it mean to be a virtuoso in Chopin's time. And to answer this difficult question, I made another journey to mythology and to cultural archetypes, I can say. And I found very big inspiration in the myth about Apollo and Marsyas, about their contest that is very actual in the period of Chopin competition. Because of the discussion about this, we can say, biggest values of performance and this ethical questions about performance. And we tried to use this myth as a kind of main idea of the exhibition, and show that some questions are, we can say, eternal. And then we try to look inside the 19th century, to look into the social life, to discover the contexts of this period, the context of Pianopolis, the Paris of Chopin. And we found that there are many other sources in the public sphere that can be compared to the discovery of 19th century pianist virtuoso, like spectacles, magician shows, the performances of child prodigies, etc. And that whole stories made that scenario. And I think that it is very important right now to have a reflection about what does it mean to be a virtuoso, what do we prefer, if we prefer the technique or we prefer the individuality. That is very actual right now.
But what is the history of this term? Because there have been great pianists since the piano was invented. Mozart was a very famous pianist, but was he already called the virtuoso, or is it really a 19th century term?
No, the term was 18th century actually, and it was used for the first time in dictionary by Sébastien de Brossard in 1703, as I remember, and it made, I can say, career. The term virtuoso make a career in many other dictionaries in the beginning of the 18th century. So, but the change was very important because in 18th century, to be a virtuoso meant to be an excellent person, an excellent musician also, but also a painter or another skilled artist. And that referred, I think, more to the craftsmanship, not to this genius and individuality that was discovered by Romanticism. And that is the change that in the late 18th century, that was kind of emancipation of a virtuoso, that he was revealed from the court and he became an individualist, an individual person. And the apogee of this process is in 19th century, of course, and the main step was made by Franz Liszt, who became only one person on the stage, and he established a piano recital.
So first a virtuoso was someone just very good at something, and then it became a genius, yes?
We can say, yes, shortly, that that's the process.
Now you mentioned Liszt, and we know he was one of the leading virtuosos of his time, also a friend of Chopin. So what was his style? What did Liszt really change in the whole virtuoso thing?
We have in mind, I can see many stereotypes about Liszt. And in these stereotypes, when we think about Liszt, we have associations with that ecstatic performance, with flying hands and the Liszt flying under the keyboard. And in fact, he also played in this way. It was extraordinary, it was very powerful, it was hypnotic, and even in 1840s, that kind of fascination of his playing, the mask hysteria, we can say, that was seen in Germany after his concerts, was called by Heinrich Heine Listomania. So we have this, we can compare it to present times when we have a kind of mania for rock star concerts. And in fact, yes, he was a very extravagant, a very powerful performer. We can say conqueror. Yes, he was compared to Napoleon. This revolution was very important. But in fact, at the exhibition, we would like to present another Liszt also. That he is a more complex personality. He is not only that kind of showman, he is also a very deep intellectual, and that he, by his art, wants to say something more, that it's not only this shallow performance to astonish people by the technique. He wants to use virtuoso means to, for example, express the transcendence or the religious subject. Yes, he's very, very complex, but in fact, that comparisons to devil or demons that are connected to Liszt are also true.
Already Paganini was compared to the devil,
yes,
because he was so good. Now you mentioned Pianopolis, and this is a wonderful subject about Paris being the city of pianists and so many great virtuosos playing there. We know Liszt had a famous controversy against Thalberg. Now how would you position Chopin in that milieu? Because he was one of the virtuosos, but also a little bit different.
Yes, because that milieu of virtuosos had many interconnections, and We can compare it to a kind of maybe business that some of people were gained together in some business, we can say, editors, piano sellers, producers, etc. were gathered, and Chopin, we can say, was he resigned to participate in this. First, he resigned or avoided to give public concerts. He didn't want to play for big public, and he had to do this, of course, but he was not fond of this, and he preferred to play for the small audience in the intimate atmosphere of the saloon, of course. And we see that Chopin is a different virtuoso. He's not, he don't want to astonish by the technique. He wants to express something more. And even in this conflict between Liszt and Thalberg, we see that there are some traces in reviews that people also had seen Chopin in this, that there were questions, who is the biggest virtuoso, Liszt or Thalberg? And the answer is, that's Chopin. So the third option, Chopin was the third option, we can say. And another trace that Chopin was called, for example, by Heinrich Heine, that he's not merely a virtuoso, and he's a poet. And that subject of poetry and the unrealness of his performances is very strong. Another quotation from Barbadette, he wrote that Chopin gave the soul to the piano, and he transformed the piano. So Chopin was also extraordinary, but in different way.
So we could say that Chopin achieved what Liszt was trying to achieve, that transcendence, right?
Yeah. Yes, but in different way. We can compare them. In many discussions, Chopin and Liszt are put on the opposites. But I think that they fulfill each other. When we have their two, we can understand their art.
Now, we know that Chopin was a very understated person, but Liszt, on the contrary, and you mentioned that he was flying over his hands. So I reckon there was also a strong visual aspect to virtuosity and to virtuoso concerts. Do you think it was really important, or was the music really at the center of the virtuoso?
I think that this visual sphere was always important. Maybe people weren't aware that it's very crucial, but it was important, and we know that in many reviews that aspect was also underlined, and that the virtuoso performance was a kind of a spectacle. We see many comments about Paganini's performances. His physiognomy was very strongly connected with his art. And many journalists put attention also to the sphere, how he looked like, how he behaved. That is this comparison to magnetism, that also looking at the virtuoso is very important. And that is also the subject that many virtuosos were classified due to their character and due to their physiognomy, due to their appearance. And now it's very popular to look inside this corporal part of art and corporal part of music also, but it was also present in 19th century as well. It's not something new, it was, but people weren't aware how it's important, how it influences our perception.
Now you mentioned this one important change that Liszt introduced, that he became the only person on stage. If it can we explain exactly what he did?
Mm-hmm. Liszt, in one of his letters, wrote that the concert is me, paraphrasing Louis XIV. And exactly this change was that he started to play the concerts alone, without the singers and other pianists and other
Because it was customary, and still in the 19th century,
yes,
that a concert involved many other performers.
Yes, of course, and that's this cult of individuality, this emancipation of his genius. And people, I think that people were also fascinated with that this hysteria about Liszt was also connected with this, that he was the only one ego at the stage, and that was also the source of this magnetism.
So if not for Liszt, there would be no Chopin competition today with one pianist on,
yes.
on the stage.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a bit about your exhibition. Can you tell us a bit how you worked on the scenario and how you developed the entire idea?
I shortly told that we first started from associations in the presence, and then we started to look inside this deeper contexts. And in fact, this exhibition is a kind of essay, a kind of, we can say, story of many subjects that is not only to show Chopin, but the context of social life and etc. And as I said, this working on the scenario was a kind of detective work to find those sources that are important for virtuosity. Of course, doing the exhibition is making many choices and making researches and collections. We made research in Bibliothèque Nationale de France because we knew that when we make the exhibition about Parisian milieu, we have to look inside the collection of French institutions, and actually we loaned 18 works from Bibliothèque Nationale de France, as well as we have also some objects from Cité de la Musique. And we also made researches in our Polish collections. Some of works we couldn't have, and that's multiple choice to prepare the exhibition in its final shape.
Mm-hmm. Did you face any special challenges when working on the scenario, looking for exhibits?
There were, of course, many challenges to fit those examples to the scenario. I think that it's not something extraordinary. It's like doing every exhibition. Sometimes we have to change our minds into something different. There are some works that we couldn't have. Maybe at the next exhibition it would be possible to present them.
Okay. Now I'm very happy that we can actually show some of the exhibits that are presented at your exhibition. So can we now watch them, and you would briefly comment on each of those?
We have some views from exhibition area. That's our identification.
So that's Apollo, right?
Yes, that's the subject of Apollo and Marsyas. We also present the poem by Zbigniew Herbert, Apollo and Marsyas. Here we have the room about Paganini and the Devils. Here we have the autograph of Polonaise Fantasia Opus 61, that is our treasure at the exhibition. And here we are in Philharmony, actually, because the exhibition has its part in the Philharmony, and here we present some devices used by 19th century pianists to practice their hands, and yes, these are facilities from Tony Bingham.
So how did they use it? How did this device work to practice the fingers?
Oh, everyone is different. Some of them are to strengthen fingers or to practice the supplesse of hand. Some of them are to keep the one position of the wrist. And we know that Chopin criticized using such methods. The most famous was by Kalkbrenner. He invented guide-main, the facility to put the wrist on and to keep only one position and use only fingers. And we know that Chopin was criticizing such methods, and that his method is very, we can say, ecological, and he really believed in the natural movement and natural properties of each finger. So nothing against the nature, nothing against the physiognomy. So yes, we can now say that Chopin was ecological pianist.
Because very few people know that Chopin actually left a piano method, and he was a teacher also with a theoretical approach to teaching the
Yes, we presented the exhibition, the sketches for the method, a part by Chopin, wrote by Chopin, and part by his sister Ludwika, who tried to finish his method. But we know that this project is uncompleted, and we only have the sketches. But I think that there are many very important ideas that we have to consider also in this period, a period of competition.
So people can watch this exhibition at the Chopin Museum and at the Philharmonic, and I think everybody should do it. Can you tell us, is there usually an exhibition during a Chopin competition? Is there a history of those events?
Yes, the history is very long. As I remember, it started in 1932, and there were many exhibitions, but they were showing, they were presenting the main collection of Chopin Museum. They were gathered about Chopin subjects, and now we try to underline this context and the social context of this subject. So maybe that exhibition is a little bit different, but in fact it also presents treasures from our collection. So that's the extraordinary occasion to see two Chopin manuscripts. It's not; they are not on the temporary display because of the conservatory reasons. So we invite everyone to come and admire Chopin handwriting.
Everybody please do. Marta Tabakiernik, exhibition coordinator and curator of this exhibition, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for attention.